What if we invented a time machine? Imagine riding the subway to work, half awake, scrolling through your phone, when suddenly a headline pops up. Scientists have just unveiled the world's first working time machine. You blink, scroll again, and realize it's not a prank. Instantly, your morning commute feels less important than the fact that humanity now holds the most powerful, and possibly the most dangerous, invention ever created. The line between history and the future blurs right there on your tiny phone screen, and every stickman in the train car is staring at their news feeds in disbelief. At first, the possibilities sound incredible. Want to meet the dinosaurs? No problem. Go back and watch the pyramids being built? Book your ticket. Or maybe you'd rather leap into the future, peek at lottery numbers, and come back a billionaire. It's the ultimate cheat code for life. Governments, corporations, and very sketchy individuals would be lining up for their turn. But the universe, unfortunately, doesn't like being cheated. The first problem is paradoxes. What happens if you go back and accidentally step on a butterfly? Movies love to show this as returning home to find the world completely altered. But in reality, the effect could be far worse. Even the tiniest change in the past could rewrite your entire existence. Imagine a stickman coming home, opening the door, and discovering he's never been born, while 3 random dinosaurs now live in his apartment. Scientists would argue about how time really works. Some claim every change creates a parallel universe. If that's true, then the time machine is less a vehicle and more an infinite copy machine, spitting out countless alternate timelines. Most of them would be riddled with bizarre glitches. Picture a whole planet where everyone has noses instead of ears, just because someone prevented Newton from discovering gravity. The future wouldn't be much safer. Jumping ahead might expose us to technologies our minds simply can't handle. Showing a smartphone to someone from the 1800s was enough to blow their mind. Now imagine a stickman popping into the year 3025, where people ride clouds, talk with their thoughts, and eat pure sunlight. His brain would probably short-circuit on the spot. And then there's the question of control. Who gets to use the time machine? If it's in the hands of everyday people, chaos is guaranteed. Someone would go back to become their own great-grandfather. Another would buy stock before it boomed and collapse the economy. Someone else might steal a dinosaur egg, accidentally creating a whole new evolutionary timeline. Within weeks, history would look like spaghetti, and textbooks would need to be rewritten daily. Of course, governments would try to take control. But what happens if an army from the future marches back into the present, armed with weapons from the year 2500? Even the strongest modern powers would stand no chance. It's like playing chess against an opponent who's already seen every move you'll ever make. But suppose somehow humanity managed to use the time machine responsibly. Then it could become the greatest tool in our history. We could prevent wars, cure diseases, borrow clean energy from the future, and rescue the planet. But here's the catch. If you prevent a disaster that hasn't happened yet, how did you know to stop it? Maybe your intervention is the very thing that creates the disaster in the first place. Still, people love to take risks. Sooner or later, someone would push the button and travel back to meet the dinosaurs. And then they'd return with a 3-meter-long mosquito, accidentally bringing it straight into the subway. Suddenly, all those commuters who had been scrolling through news about the time machine would be waving their arms, trying not to get eaten alive by prehistoric bugs. So what if we invented a time machine? At first, it sounds like the greatest opportunity humanity could ever dream of. But in practice, it would probably end in paradoxes, chaos, and mosquitoes the size of horses. In the end, the smartest move for any stickman would be this. If a physicist invites you to test out a time machine prototype, just smile, wave, and run the other way.